What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Atkin here, South China Morning Post, SCMP MMA in Hong Kong. I am in Times Square, Causeway Bay, SCMP's office, hence the new setup. We've got the studio back, and I've got this new camera here. How do you think it looks, JHK? Nice to see you again, too, as well, sir.
Of course, man. Of course. It looks good, man. The wide view, the wide angle. You just got to tweak some things and you'll be all right.
Yes, my blue screen is not entirely set up yet. You can see a little bit of fuzz in the corners, so trying to still sort out the lighting here. But at least the camera is set up now, and we are ready to talk, aren't we, about a few hot topics in MMA. Why don't we start with Ariel Helwani and the big news that it dropped like a bomb, didn't it, last night? I was outside, and I think he sent a tweet saying, I'm going to reveal this news in 20 minutes. Everyone was hanging on the edge of their seats. And then he revealed he's going to be going back to MMA fighting, but he's also going to have a ton of other gigs as well, isn't he? He's going to be going to BT Sport, Spotify. I can't remember the other ones. What do you make of Ariel's move then, John? He left a lot of money on the table at ESPN, didn't he?
Yeah, he did leave a lot of money. Well, a lot of money for someone like us, right? Someone that is coming up in the game. And that is a lot of money for us. If we were getting paid that, I don't know if we would be leaving ESPN, but we're not Ariel. Maybe you should put up the tweet. You know what I mean? Ariel that put up, he put up after that. Like, I was sleeping. I was, I didn't even know that this happened last night until I woke up this morning. And then I just saw, people talking about it. And that's when I realized something happened. Yeah. So apparently, it's clear now that he is not going to the Action Network like it was rumored, and he is going on his own. He's going to be independent, and he's going to be working for multiple outlets. And let's start with the first one that he announced, which was the MMA Hour, the return of that. And it's going to be twice a week instead of once a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, for MMA fighting. I thought that it was a great move for MMA fighting, man. They have some heavy hitters over there now. With Ariel back there in his position, you got Mike Heck doing his show. From what I've heard, he is going to be going on the road a little bit more with Ariel, back in his old position. Mike Heck did a great job over the last year or so, kind of like filling in, in that space. But it seems like now that Ariel's back, maybe he's going to sit back and do other things, in his position at MMA fighting. But good for him, man. Good for him. Good for Ariel. Man, that's a lot of content, man. It seems like overall, we haven't even gotten to the rest of it. It seems like overall that Ariel, what he wanted most was creative control, right? ESPN is not going to give you that creative control. They have an agenda. They have what they want you to accomplish. They have what they want you to do. He was very limited in the amount of interviews he was doing at ESPN. So it kind of gave a lot of the people that do interviews a chance to catch up and interview guys that, are coming up in the game, and even like the top 15. Really, Ariel was doing interviews with who? With just big names, right? Or fighters that are making the news at a certain point. So, but now he can just interview whoever the hell he wants. A lot of control in what he does. The other spot that was interesting, I thought, was that he was going to join the podcast network at The Ringer, right? Which is part of Spotify, or it's on Spotify. And he's going to do like pre-fight and post-fight shows with them, which is going to be great content. I have nothing bad to really say about Ariel, to be honest with you. I think he's doing great work, and he's making a lot of moves. And I think he also mentioned in his video that he wanted to have the freedom to say what he wanted to say, to take a position that he wanted to take. And I guess at ESPN, he couldn't do that. So now he just has the freedom to do whatever he wants. BT Sports, he's going to do like interviews for them. I think that's great for BT Sports. Substack, I believe that's like a newsletter type thing. I don't really know too much about Substack, but I guess he's going to start writing again, or writing more, and have a newsletter going out. And it's going to be on like I think there's a paywall for that. So I don't know if that's such a big thing. You know what I mean? I don't know how many people are going to pay for that, but I guess all the proceeds are going to some kind of charity in Canada. I believe colon cancer or something. So that's good. You know what I mean? He's doing charity work on top of, all the other stuff. And then, of course, you know, last but not least, his YouTube channel that he's had for many, many years now. He's going to start interviewing like people outside of the sport, which I look forward to more than anything, to be honest with you. Like, I interview fighters, but I don't really watch too many interviews of fighters unless I'm researching on a future interview that I have scheduled. So with him interviewing like comedians and actors or whoever else outside of the combat sports world, it's going to be great for him. It's going to be great for his channel because he already has a big name. But you know what, though? At the same time, he owes a lot to ESPN because he was a big name in MMA. But I believe because of ESPN, he's become a bigger name outside of MMA. And he's drawing all like a additional audience to him, to his platforms, and even to the platforms that he's going to start working with, come the near future. That's kind of like the overall assessment of like what I get from the move, and it's a great move, and I'm pretty sure they're paying him a hefty sum, yearly hefty sum from all these outlets, right?
Well, I had a couple of takeaways from it as well. Interestingly, he mentioned with the BT Sports stuff, he's going to be doing WWE as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting for me. But also, I want to say hats off to Ariel because I also used to work at ESPN, and not saying I was anywhere near the level he was at. We were literally the opposite ends of the spectrum. I was, very much near the bottom rung, but I take my hat off to him because if you don't feel valued, why don't you leave? And I think that's what I did. I didn't feel valued at ESPN either, and I felt I deserved more than I was getting in terms of, opportunities, salary, everything like that. I packed up and moved halfway across the world to Hong Kong to SCMP. I could have easily stayed at ESPN, and it is, the worldwide leader in sport. It's a great thing to have on your resume. I work at ESPN, but I'm all up for people who want to challenge themselves, and I think Ariel's taking a big risk. So, I got my beef with Ariel over his one championship exclusive, John. But other than that, I'm all for him doing this, and I'm very happy for him. And who do you think, John, is going to slide on into that slot in ESPN, though? We talked about it last week. Maybe Laura Sanko or Megan Levy, maybe.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody already in-house in some kind of capacity, right? It's not gonna. I don't think they're gonna bring anybody in from outside of ESPN or the UFC to fill in that. And if they do bring in Lauren Sanko, I think that would be a great move. They have Phil Murphy. He does some UFC stuff outside of the US, right? He's not bad. Megan O'Leary. I'm pretty sure either of those people could fill in the shoes. I think particularly Lauren Sanko. She's pretty
not Brendan Schaub.
No, not Brendan Schaub. He has his own gigs going on right now. And then you still have Brett Okamoto, right? Brett does interviews. He does a lot of on-site stuff. So, and that's one thing that Ariel Helwani couldn't do. I don't believe he was doing anything on-site, right, at shows. And moving forward, I don't believe he's going to be at shows anyways. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that the ESPN maybe they thought like, okay, we could keep him for the price that we want to keep him for, but if we lose him, we don't really lose that much. And I think it's a big mistake for ESPN, to be honest with you.
Well, but like from all my experience there, they have no problem with, a corporation doesn't care about you at the end of the day. And ESPN is a huge corporation. It is Disney. You are just a number to them. You're a statistic, essentially. So Ariel is going to places, I think, where he feels valued as part of the team, back to the MMA hour. Somewhere, even BT Sport, I think, he might feel a little bit more of a family there. ESPN is a great place to work, but at the end of the day, they do treat you like you're just another employee. It's a huge corporation. So anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm just setting up my microphone here.
You know what though, in the overall landscape of things, and James Lynch, he made a great point in one of his videos. about like this MMA media space, right? It's very fickle and unpredictable. And if you go into a job and you are full time, you don't know when they can, just put the axe to you, right? You have no idea. I'm pretty sure Ariel's in a different position. You know, what I mean, he's very valuable in any space, in any outlet, with any outlet, right? But for like someone like me, or someone that is just in the fringe, if let's say I went in full time with the publication, of course I would love to, and I would love to be a part of some kind of entity. But the thing is, it's so unpredictable, right? And building your brand is so important, outside of working for outlets. You got to build your brand. You got to have some kind of channel or something on your own. And Ariel, he's lucky that he actually did, create that YouTube channel like 10 plus years ago, because he could always go back to that. If he doesn't have anything else, he could always go back to that. And he has a wide enough audience. He has a big social media following, bigger than anybody else in this space, to where he could do anything. He could pretty much go on his own and do pretty well. He might not be doing as good as he did, you know, if he worked for like a BT Sports, or for MMA fighting, but he'll still do well for himself. And that's because he's created this brand, his own brand. And he does have an avenue where he can kind of like have a what is it, a plan B, so to say. But yeah, man, I think he worked hard for the last couple of months to get the right situation for himself
Yeah,
to leave ESPN. And you know what, we should all be supporting him, man, because
indeed.
he's a forward thinker.
Well, Chris, hello, Chris. Good to see you again. Nick, did SCMP consider signing Ariel? Well, I tried, did my best, but the numbers were just too much. I can't compete with BT and the MMA hour. No, of course not. I don't think Ariel would consider joining SCMP MMA. We're not big enough, are we, John? Maybe one day in the future we could have Ariel on the show. But I think you're the Ariel of SCMP, John. My hat's off to you, sir.
That's a compliment, I guess. But yeah, man, everybody's trying to do their best, right? And Ariel, everybody does have to kind of look up to that, and look at him, and kind of, he's a trailblazer, right? So when he's blazing the trail, you got to look at it and pick your spots and see what he's doing. And I think, like, man, him working at ESPN was the right move, and him leaving ESPN is even a better move. And moving forward, he has a job until he dies, right? Basically, like, he could do this until he's in the grave. And that's what you want, right? You want to have something where you don't have to retire from unless you want to, right? And I think he's got that, right? And him being part of the Ringer Network with I think Bill Simmons, I think that's his name, who is big in the NBA and NFL space. If is it NFL? I know his NBA space is huge, but yeah, man, he has his hands in so many pots now, to where it's like the longevity is gonna be ridiculous. And yeah, hopefully he continues and ups his output. You know what I mean? Because that's always great to see from someone like him.
Absolutely. I'm just playing with my green screen here. So many new toys for me to enjoy in this studio, but let's see if that comes up. What do you think looks better, John? Old post-fight? Thinking having the logos behind me. I'll play with it. Anyway, I'll throw you let's get to the next topic, and I can mess with that in between you talking and me talking. Well, do you want to say anything else about Ariel? Do you want to go on to a little bit of fallout from Saturday night or Sunday in Asia here? Korean Zombie beating Dan Ige, unanimous decision, UFC Vegas 29. I guess the takeaway is Zombie called out Max Holloway a little bit, didn't he? Said he feels he's got the punching power to beat Max Holloway. Do you like that matchup for Chan Sung Jung, or what do you think's next for the Zombie?
It's hard to say, because right now, he's still coming off that loss, to Brian Ortega, who is a top, top 3 fighter in the division. And Dan Ige, he was ranked, I believe, number 8. So if you beat number 8, does it justify a matchup with with Max Holloway? Maybe, if the time lines up perfectly. But Max Holloway's, I believe they're supposed to reschedule him with Yair Rodriguez later this year. That's the matchup that they want, right? And a lot of people are pushing for Yair versus Giga Chikadze. That's a great matchup. But has Giga Chikadze beaten the higher level opponents to justify a fight with Yair? I don't know. I don't know if he has, right? Who did he beat last? He beat Cub Swanson, I believe. Cub
Yeah,
Swanson is not a top 10 fighter. Like, how do you go from Cub Swanson to Yair Rodriguez, who's a top 5 fighter?
that is a
That
jump.
doesn't make sense. Yeah, that is a jump. I know a lot of people are high on the Giga train and everything, and he's a great fighter, man. And I've spoken to many people that believe he'll be the champ one day, but I don't think it's justified for him to fight Yair. It's a great opportunity, and if he gets it, I'm all for it. But if you're looking at the rankings, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense at all. Actually, a better fight would be um, Giga against somebody else, like a Calvin Cater, or people talking about Josh Emmett or Arnold Allen. Those are the fights that Giga should be taking, because why? There's still stuff to figure out at the top of the division. So with that said, it does look good to have the Korean Zombie fight Max Holloway if it lines up perfectly. Yair, man, who knows what they're gonna do with him. But like, the one thing that was really stood out to me about that main event is the Korean Zombie and what he said. He said he had a game plan going into this fight, because usually you think he doesn't have a game plan. He's just going in there to fight and he's gonna brawl. But what he said in the post fight was that he had a game plan for Dan Ige, and he was going to use that game plan, utilize it for the first 2 rounds, and if it wasn't working, then he was going to brawl. I feel like this is the major takeaway from that fight, is that the Korean Zombie, he showed patience, right? He didn't get overzealous. He showed fight IQ, where he saw that he could mix it up and follow the game plan and beat a top 10 guy. And I think it built his confidence up from that Ortega fight, because the Zombie is always talking about retirement and hanging it up, and this could be my last fight. But I feel like after this, we see that he has evolved, and the team at Fight Raider is getting him ready to the best of his abilities, and he's just, all he got to go do is go in there and execute, and he executed in that fight. And you know what, if, like he said, the first 2 rounds, if the game plan isn't working, round 3 we see the brawl, and I would like to see what that looks like, right? Against a guy that maybe he's losing the first 2 rounds, and then now he's got to switch to the zombie mode and brawl with him. I love that the Korean Zombie had that type of performance, and I can't wait to see what's next. If he fights Max Holloway, great for him. If he doesn't and he sits back, I'm pretty sure that he had some talks with the UFC before taking the Dan Ige fight, because I know that he didn't want to take a main event fight. He wanted a 3-round fight, because he's done this is, I think, his like 9th or 10th main event in a row, which is kind of crazy that he's done that for the promotion. So they must have told him something that excited him to the point where he took the main event fight and took a guy way down in the rankings. So he got his win. He went to the judges, I believe, at the first time in his UFC career. He did his thing, and now he just has to sit back and see how it plays out. But hopefully, he's back at the end of the year, like probably September or November, just October, somewhere around there. But it's hard to say who he would fight, though.
Anything else from UFC Vegas 29 worth mentioning? We're a couple of days removed from the show, but I actually really enjoyed the show. I kind of was a bit annoyed that I didn't ask you guys to do a recap with me. because I thought it was excellent, actually. Some really good. I mean, Matt Brown, that was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
Matt Brown was
Kanaka,
crazy.
Murata with the arm. Was that a broken arm or just a dislocation
It
against
looks like
Jenner?
it looked like a dislocation. She put up a
Mm.
picture on her Instagram. I didn't really look at it too
Oh,
carefully.
let me hunt that down.
Yeah, but yeah, like I thought for someone that is lacking in UFC experience, she did really well. But she was losing that fight, right? And then she had that dislocation of her arm. Um, it's very emotional when they stop the fight, and justifiable. The fighter goes through hard camps, and it's a huge opportunity for Murata, right, against a top a top fighter in that division to go out there and have the doctor stop it. But man, her arm, it was noticeably
I
mangled,
mean,
right?
she couldn't even get the arm up to defend herself,
Yeah,
right? Do you think they should have stopped that? Either the referee or her corner? That seemed to be the
yeah, I think
prevailing
so.
wisdom. Yeah, I think so as well. But some of
Yeah,
these fighters, they're too tough. They're good, aren't they?
yeah. It's what with that, I feel like they did the right thing to go to the to the end of the round, and then to stop it. You know what I mean? Because the fighter's gonna fight on no matter what. Like it's weird because like an injury like that you can see, but then let's say like a shoulder injury or like a broken hand or a broken foot, you can't see it really, right? A fighter can march forward without anybody really being able to notice. So it's hard to say. It's the
Well,
referees.
I pressed Google Translate or something similar on Instagram. She basically said, my arm, which was okay after the first round, got stuck after hitting the left punch in the second round. I'm sure that's not perfect translation. Thank you for taking me to the treatment right away. It's safe. Thank you for your many word messages. I'm reading it all. I'm fine. Thank you so much. Yes, I don't think that's the 100% translation, but you get the gist.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be okay. She'll be back. One other. Let's talk about Sting. Yeah, the Koreans got the job done in this fight night, says Martin Boucher. Sting
Koreans
Choi.
are 5-0 this year, man, which is
Absolutely, sir.
a big change because like Korean fighters have had some bad luck in the past couple of years, and everybody was talking a lot of negativity, right? Like the Korean fighters are not very good. They're not performing. They need to up their training. They need a better technique. All of these things. But this year they've done really well, and yeah, and it's all led by the Korean Zombie Sting. He started off his UFC career with back-to-back losses, but look at who he has fought, right? His debut was against Movsar Evloev, who is undefeated. Like he's never lost, right? It's
exactly.
like that guy nobody wants to probably fight right now because his style is like what Khabib was doing when he first entered the UFC, that kind of style, right? Where he just grind people out. And then his second fight was against Gavin Tucker. In that one, he was kneed, when he was down. And I feel like that had an effect on that fight, even though Gavin Tucker did a good job wrestling him. His third fight, Subhan Mokhtarian, we were there in Busan, right? He got the unanimous decision win. It was a good win, but not too impressive. His last fight, I felt like he looked really good against Youssef Zalal. I like Youssef Zalal. He's a great fighter. And another guy that's coming up in the division, he went in there and defeated him by decision. But we never got to see the killer instinct of Sting. But we saw it in his last fight, right? He went out there against Julian Rosa. I thought he was going to lose the fight, to be honest with you. I thought Julian Rosa was just much more experienced in the octagon and had a little bit more tools. But Sting, he stung, right? That's what it was. He stung with that left hook, and that left hook dropped him. Rosa didn't really look like he was like too comfortable in there, right?
The left hook was just landing all of the whole minute and a half, right? He hit him about 4 times with it. I think the third or fourth one's the one that dropped him.
Yeah, it was just like he was just looking to brawl, right? And I thought, man, that's a bad idea because you're going in to brawl against a technical striker, a guy that's, a Muay Thai national he was part of the Muay Thai national team in Korea, right? So he's been striking for so long, and and before he even went to the UFC, you know who he knocked out? He knocked out
from
Chaewoon,
one championship.
yeah, and he's Chaewoon Kim knocked out
Yeah.
Chaewoon Kim like unconscious. I was there for that fight too. That Chaewoon Kim was asleep, like gone. And Chaewoon Kim right now, he's a what?
Right?
He's a top contender in
they had another fight, and then didn't he knock him out as well?
Chaewoon Kim knocked out Sting in the first fight. It was a title fight in TFC, and then they swung back. Or actually, Sting, he won a couple fights, got the shot again, and then knocked out Chaewoon Kim in the rematch. That's a great rivalry right there. But
isn't it crazy to think because I remember that fight, and now both guys are doing pretty well in UFC and one championship. Especially Kim is probably going to get a title shot by the end of this year against Christian Lee. So could you imagine those two would be having?
Oh, you mean Tan Lee, right? Tan Lee.
No, I mean Kim is going to fight Christian Lee, right?
Kim is fighting Christian Lee?
I think so.
No, Kim is the featherweight. You're talking about Oak. Oak is the lightweight.
Oh, fuck, you're right, yeah.
Right? So Kim is going to fight probably Martin later this year.
Oh, Kim, yeah. Well, yeah. Martin, because that fight didn't happen in Singapore, right? Twice.
Yeah, so Kim is probably fighting Martin.
Oak, sorry.
Yeah, Kim is probably fighting Martin. And but anyway, both of those guys are doing really well. It's props to the Korean fighters, man. They're making a resurgence, so to say, in different promotions. And I think that they made the right choices, right? I think Kim going to one championship, it was the right choice, and Sting going to UFC was the right choice. I heard that Sting is most likely going to go stateside and train later this year. So he could be in the United States, maybe take another fight this year, while he does his camp in the US, utilize that Performance Institute. I feel like a lot of fighters that are not taking advantage of that, they should be taking advantage of it now, because there's pretty much no choice. All the fights are happening in the US, so you got to go there. So you might as well go out there early and see what you can do. Find the camp, maybe Alpha Male or Syndicate or Extreme Couture or Sanford, American Top Team. It seems like that's like the hot spots right now. So
Yuya's gone out to Sanford, right?
Exactly. So many guys.
They're growing a little one championship stable now, aren't they?
Yeah. Rafael Fiziev is over there at Sanford too.
Is he?
Yeah, he's been out there for a while. There's a funny video of him speaking Korean on Cheon Kim's Instagram page. But yeah, Rafael Fiziev, people are very familiar with him in Asia. He trained out of Tiger Muay Thai, coached out of there, and he fought for Road FC. So, it's not something new. A lot of people knew from a long time ago that Rafael Fiziev was going to be a problem in the UFC, and he's showing it now because nobody wants to fight him. He's having a hard time getting the fight. So, I actually texted with him today, and I said, I hope you are well. And he messaged me back saying, like, I will be well when I get a fight. That's what he said. That's what he messaged me. So, Rafa, shout out to you, man. Hopefully you do get a fight soon. But back to Sting, man. 3-fight winning streak, performance bonus. That's $50K. What's next for him? I was thinking that he could fight, like, whenever someone gets an impressive win, they always want to say, like, they should fight somebody in the top 15. And it's just like, come on, not everybody's going to fight somebody in the top 15. So let's be realistic. Choi, he's still an up-and-comer, right? Even though he's on a 3-fight winning streak, it's not like he's beaten 3, top 15 guys or top 25 guys or anything like that, right? He's still climbing. So let's get him in there with a vet. Let's get him in there with somebody that has fought some of the top 15. And you know who has done that is a fighter named Lando Venata. I think Lando Venata, stylistically, a different style of striker. I think it's a fun matchup. I think that Choi would be challenged by that, right? And if you've seen Lando Venata's last fight, he still looks really good. So Choi, I feel like that's a good matchup. Another matchup I think that would be good for Choi. What did I say? See, sometimes I tweet things and I don't remember what I tweeted out, right? But I did say Lando Venata. Let's see what I said. What else did I say? But what about Choi speaking English while I
Yeah, I
find
was
this?
going to
What was your
say,
thoughts on that?
it was great. And I think you tweeted about that, and I echoed your sentiments, which is it's going to give him a lot more opportunities, I think. And fans will connect to someone like that because, we shouldn't expect every fighter to have to learn English, but it does help, I think, especially in Western promotions. So all props to him. And I think it will help him, really connect with fans and build up a fan base. And that's only going to help him get more fights, bigger fights. And the UFC will get behind someone who shows that personality. And it's not to say that like the Zombie doesn't have the same personality, but I guess it's easier to latch onto someone when they speak that language. So I was very impressed, and he says he's going to keep working hard on it. So all fair play to him, and I really like this guy. I do. It's hard not to like him. I think he's. We had an interview with him on SCMP. Go check that out a few months ago. He's got a good backstory. I think he kind of grew up in I want to say Sokcho. I think it's on the border of North Korea, right?
Yeah, it's like an hour east of Seoul, like 2 hours east of Seoul. Yeah, yeah, it's just like kind of like a countryside area, but next to the ocean. But there's a mountain there too. Yeah, very close to North Korea. Yeah, man, I think he's kind of found his place now. For a little bit, everybody thought he was going to be one of those three and done type of fighters, right? But he's turned his career around. He actually left his old coach, his old team, his original team for certain reasons, and he's turned his UFC career around. So we'll see what happens. He's only what is he? He's like 20. He's 28. You know what I mean? 28 is good age.
Yeah, very young.
On a 3-fight win streak. Hey, let's get it in. Let's see what he can do.
On
with
flip
the
side
new
of that,
training. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. Julian Erosa, I think he's only 31 himself, but he has so many damn fights. His record is crazy. Let me bring it up. Wow.
Yeah. This is his third run in the UFC, which is nuts.
Madness. But what's his record there? It's 25-10, and he's 31. That's a pretty good record. He was a real veteran. It was a real good name, I think, for Choi to knock off. So
yeah,
fair play to him. Okay, a couple of comments. What do you think? Choi versus Gavin Tucker, Choi versus Paddy the Baddy in Paddy's debut. Do you like either of those?
I don't know. I think Paddy the Baddy. I wonder why it's taking them so long to get him a fight. They signed him a couple months ago, it seems like. I don't know if he should be debuting against Choi. Choi's on a 3-fight win streak, and Paddy's about to debut in the UFC. I don't think that's a proper matchup. You know what I mean? Like at featherweight, it's hard to say who Paddy would make his debut against, but most likely he'd need to fight somebody that's on a losing streak or someone that has like 1 or 2 fights in the UFC. But not Choi. I don't think Choi would. I think Choi would take the fight, but I don't think that's a good fight for
him. Martin asking, can he be a problem for the division?
He could be a problem for the division, but the thing is, like, we've seen what somebody that's not even like a full-blown wrestler will do if they grapple him in his first 2 fights, right? So, as long as they keep him, with some strikers, I think you can see some good performance out of him. But when you get into that grappling, that's something that he needs to come, I think, to America or to go somewhere and train on. Is better defensive wrestling, because if he doesn't have that, he won't be a problem. You know what I mean? He'll just run into brick walls.
Alex also asking your thoughts on Zombie saying Holloway has no power. He said it in English in the post-fight presser.
I think that he like the way that he said it. He said that he has no punching power, but I don't think he meant it as disrespect. You know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of these news headlines are kind of like inferring, that it was some kind of disrespect. I don't think it was disrespect. I think he was trying to say it in the nicest way possible. It just came out like that. But if you look at the track record, it's true that Max Holloway is a volume striker, right? He doesn't have the punching power as a Korean Zombie who has a lot of knockouts, right? Who holds like one of the, like, what is it, the third or the third or second fastest knockout in UFC history
Mm.
against Mark Hominick. I think 7 seconds or 8 seconds or 9 seconds or something like that. So, you know, I like the fight. If they give him the fight, if Max, you know, can't return in the next couple months, and the Korean Zombie wants to return, you know, at the end of the year, why not line that fight up? But, you know, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, the Korean Zombie has to go back home. He has three daughters, 3 kids. You know, I'm pretty sure he wants to go spend time with them. He's been in camp in the U.S. for a couple months now, away
Is his
from them.
eye all okay now? Because I
Yeah,
know
his eyes are all good. Yeah, his eyes are all good. I
that was
think
before the Ortega fight. They fixed that.
yeah. Even the Korean Superboy had the same issue, and I'm pretty sure, I think he got his
Damn.
problems fixed with his eye. What was I gonna say about the Zombie? Yeah, well, another interesting thing is, I think the Zombie, he was saying in the post fight that he dislocated his shoulder in the second round, so, and it popped back in. So we'll have to see what that, maybe is, because, you know, he's always had problems with his shoulder. Remember, it popped out during the Aldo fight, and Aldo finished him like shortly after that. So his body is a wreck, man. Like,
Yeah,
he
I mean,
has
that
had
was
so many
crazy.
injuries.
He said it popped out and then back in during the second round.
Yeah.
That's madness. Unreal toughness. And he also got his black belt, we should say, after the fight. Pretty cool. Yeah. Who was it who presented him with that? I forgot his name.
Santino.
Santino, yeah. Good for him. Excellent performance. And it felt like the real Zombie again, a little bit to me.
No, like, it was like the more improved Zombie, I think.
Yeah, he didn't seem himself against Ortega. I mean, and
well, you know, the spinning elbow to the back to
the
cranium will shake up some cobwebs, right?
Yes, sir. So, absolutely.
Martin has a good question.
Yeah, I was about to put that on screen. Perfect.
Okay.
Is the Zombie a big star in South Korea, John?
Okay, so I think people outside of Korea probably would think like the Zombie is a massive star in South Korea. Not so. You know, he's on TV, yes. He's done a lot of variety shows, yes. But he just doesn't have the personality. You know what I mean? If you look at him, he doesn't have that, like, Koreans love like some quirkiness to you, right? Especially on TV. You know who's a massive star?
You, John.
No, I'm not quirky at all. That's a good sarcastic statement. But the thing is, like, you know who's a massive star, and probably people don't even think that he would be, is Stun Gun. Stun Gun is a massive star. Like, he's quirky, he's funny, he's like a comedian now on television, doing all kinds of shows, and on top of that, he's running his own team. He has his own gym, Team Stun Gun. And you know he's doing so many great things for MMA while being a celebrity on TV all the time. He has like his own gym, he has his own team, he takes care of all of them, he feeds them, he houses them. The dude has really created this like a factory for young fighters right now, and they're building up. We're gonna see a lot of them come up soon. Just wait, man. But you know, going back to the question, Zombie is not that big of a star in Korea. He does have the support of like Jay Park, who's a rapper, singer, the one that got slapped by Brian
Jay
Ortega.
Park, right there.
Yeah, and he's part of their management group also. And I believe that's the reason why he has the opportunities to go on TV and grow the sport in Korea. But, you know, as in star power, Stun Gun, Kim Dong-yeon is the biggest star in Korea.
There we go. I never knew. I just thought the Zombie was a big name there. What about Superboy? How's he?
Superboy's, you know, like if there was like a popularity scale, it'd be like Stun Gun and then the Zombie and then the Superboy, right? But I think Superboy's more popular worldwide, just like in the case of the Korean Zombie. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you walked around and asked somebody, do you know who the Korean Superboy? I guarantee you half the people would not know who he is.
Okay. Let's move on here to, there's a question or a comment. I can't really make out what Alex is asking, but can you make sense of this? Do you guys know Asian MMA community?
He's a massive star in Asian MMA.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's asking, is he a big star in the Asian MMA community or
Of
Korean
course,
MMA.
it's like if you're in the MMA community, like who is not a fan of the Korean Zombie, right? Like there's one of my close friends is not a fan of the Korean Zombie, but I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but he is not, and he lives in Korea and he's Korean, but he's not a
Yeah.
fan of the Korean Zombie. But it has anything to do with him fighting though.
Okay. Well, here is another question then. Gordon, asking any news about One's atomweight tournament? Absolutely none. No update. The last I heard is end of June, but that's fast approaching now. I doubt it'll be end of June, so I think mid-July at best. But what I do know is that a lot of fighters are back in camp. You know, you've seen it, John. Ongla is training again. Yu is there. A lot of the Sanford guys seem to be indicating they are fighting. I think Ongla's definitely got something booked for, I want to say August, probably makes sense. But so they must have had some kind of indication, right, that events will be back on soon. And you imagine Empower would be first, the Atomweight Grand Prix, but they might record a bunch before that on the same day or after it to pre-record for more events. So it seems like something's in the works, right?
Yeah, something's in the works. I heard that July is like the earliest they could come back. That all depends on the government. If the government gives the green light, then they could go. And you know, One Championship is on top of those things. They're really closely connected to the government. So hopefully, you know, they allow it. And I heard that they are trying to open things up quickly in Singapore.
Yeah.
It just depends on Singapore, because the rest of the world, they don't care, right? Most of the countries nowadays, right? It's just Singapore is trying to, you know, be isolated and be careful. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, if you know, that Singapore will let us in there and, you know, cover some of those shows.
Oh, don't get me started on that. We've had this green lane, whatever you want to call it, the bubble between Hong Kong and Singapore has collapsed about 3 times. It's been mooted since last September. We're coming up nearly on 9 months of this thing being in talks. At least this time it was Singapore's fault. You know, the first 2 times it collapsed because Hong Kong had a wave of cases. The third time Singapore had this wave of cases, which is why this show was cancelled. So I've kind of had my hopes up. I'm going to be able to fly there, at least maybe not be in the athletes bubble, but I'll be able to watch the show, you know, at least in person. And
You know, the thing is, like, if you do go there, right, why would you not be in the athletes bubble? They could test you just like they test everybody, like the UFC does, right? And then you could get in there.
Singapore government is very, 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 very precautious. You saw that with Martin Nguyen, right?
Yeah.
And the ridiculousness of his situation.
Twice.
Yeah.
And it was the same situation twice. Which is
madness.
Nuts, man. And man, I feel really bad for Martin and Kim, because they were supposed to fight twice, and it's not like one of them got injured or anything like that. It was just terrible.
So
terrible, unfortunate.
Martin and Kim, not Martin and Oak. I gotta get my One Championship Korean fighters right. I made that mistake on actually asked Chatri live on a big media scrum. I've sorted my shit out. I'm gonna shamelessly plug some nice comments here from people in the chat. Gordon says, "You guys are awesome." I feel like Chatri needs to create his own fight island at this point. Yeah, do you think they could maybe leave Singapore, go somewhere else?
Nah.
That takes a lot of moolah. I don't think they have.
No, you need government influence, right? You need government influence, and that's why Fight Island in Abu Dhabi was such a great, position, or such a great thing to have the UFC latch onto, because they're connected to the government. So anything that happens, it will be government approved. With One Championship in Singapore, it's a little bit more difficult, I think. You know what I mean? And if you go somewhere else, there's nowhere really to go, right? It's like you have to create the infrastructure. Who's going to pay for all of that, right? Like, I don't know if One Championship wants to, create an island and then, and then spend all this money, and then you don't even know when it will be utilized. Like, will it be utilized for the rest of the time, or will it be just for a couple months or this year? I don't know if that would be something that would be productive for them, going into the future. So I think they should just stick with Singapore. and just continue what they're doing, because they've done more shows than pretty much, you know, any other promotion except for the UFC, right?
What about if they have a big boat, like Alex is suggesting, one on sea or one at sea? They go
Well,
on a
the thing
cruise.
about that is the problem is with the satellite feeds and electricity and you know, and you can't be in the middle of the ocean. From what I heard, it's like you have to be docked, you
Okay.
know. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that would just be extra headaches that one championship
Yeah.
probably don't want to go through.
So Alex was asking about this. I would like to get your thoughts briefly, John,
Mhm.
on Jake Hager, who is 2-0, I think, in Bellator, former WWE star, now in AEW. They had a fake MMA fight, you know, a worked fight on AEW, him and Wardlow. What do you think of this?
That's
Can you
funny.
see it? Yeah,
No,
he just did like a Hurricane Rana on him.
I
But
never
look at
seen
these.
it.
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
saw it popped up in my feed the other day, but
I didn't even know that even happened. That's a trip. Like
well,
they
this
put
is
up a cage
hilarious.
and everything, and this was a work. They should do this more. I think it's fun. Why
It's
not,
fun, yeah.
man?
I mean,
We know what it is. It's not like they're like selling it as a real fight. You know what I mean? Everybody knows what's going on. You know, you could probably choreograph some crazy techniques, right? Especially with all the MMA stuff that's going on, like especially submissions and just flying around and throwing each other around. I think it's entertaining. Why not?
yeah, I feel they could have done a little more though than they did.
Well, you know, I guess it's a test run, right? So
Yeah,
as we go, and I'm pretty sure like there's a bunch of fighters that are pro wrestling fans. They wouldn't mind getting involved in that, right? Especially if they're getting paid. Why not?
yeah. I remember WWF doing one really ages ago with Ken Shamrock, and I think it was Owen Hart. They had a simulated cage fight around 1998. I want to say 97, something like that. I can't remember if it was actually as entertaining as that. The big thing for me is why they never did Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn in a fake cage fight. That would have been incredible because they had them both on their roster at the time. But anyway,
They had to. They must have,
moving
man.
on.
But man, continue doing it. You know, I support it.
Yeah, it's fun. A few other questions here. We'll look at quickly. Have we talked about Vitor and De La Hoya yet? I don't think we have. So maybe you did on your show last week. But
No,
does this mean Vitor and the Tarzan guy is not going to happen? They just
I
scrap
don't
that
know,
one.
man. Vitor is all over the place, right?
He is, yeah.
He was gonna fight Tarzan. Now he's gonna fight De La Hoya. He's talking trash about Tyron Woodley, that he's the worst representation of MMA. I'm just like, dude, you don't even have to. Why would you do that? Like, why would you want to attack Tyron Woodley? He didn't do nothing to you. You know what I mean? Unless I don't know the backstory of their beef or something, but why would you attack another MMA fighter that's transitioning over to boxing? It just, you should be supporting them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
unless you want to fight them, okay, then it's a different story. But and then Vitor is talking about he wants to fight the Paul brothers in one night, and his I guess he's just doing his thing to make headlines, right?
Yeah,
And
you can
he's
see
just
why
doing a good
one.
job.
I think you can see why One and Vitor didn't really work out because he's only interested in these big. I want to say freak show fights, but you know the celebrity crossover element. The one championship, I think, is pivoted towards more away from that. They're trying to go with what the UFC has now, which is the best for the best. I think they're trying to get towards that level of competition, aren't they? Have divisions with rankings. Each fight kind of matters, works towards moving towards the top 5. Vitor was only going to do things, strange, crazy things. Alan Milani, they had, I think, what was that stipulation? It was going to be special rules. What did that even mean?
Maybe it was just difficult to deal with Vitor, like there was a nice honeymoon period between Vitor and one championship, but then when they started to get into the nitty gritty and negotiate, real fights, maybe he just didn't, come eye to eye with what one championship was trying to put forth. And I think it's okay. I think like at least they separated and there was no long holdout or or like some like, you know, what is it, underlying like disagreements or
Yeah.
whatever, that they had beef with each other and they were hanging on to his contract. Let him go do his thing, and he's doing it right. He wants to be, this crusader for MMA, so to say, in boxing. But you got to go in there and beat some people, man. And you know what? Anderson Silva, what did he do? He
Yeah,
went in
he
there,
looked good.
beat a world champion. I loved it, man. How could you hate Anderson Silva?
I don't think anyone does. That was excellent. I
Vitor
enjoyed
probably
that.
hates him.
Yes, yes.
I'm
No,
surprised Vitor hasn't said anything about Anderson Silva, because he's pretty much attacked everybody on in that space.
so WMMA scene now has pointed out it was the Lion's Den in WWF, late 90s, early 2000s, that Ken Shamrock had. I forgot all about this. They also had a real boxing tournament. I remember that as well, the Brawl for All. And the winner was Bart Gunn, I want to say. And then he got to fight Butterbean for real in a boxing fight and got absolutely murdered. That was a strange time.
I stopped watching pro wrestling in like the early 90s. So like my like recollection of pro wrestling is like Hulk Hogan and WCW with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, and that's like my time, right, where I was like actually watching it deeply. After anything after that, really don't know much, just little bits and pieces here and there. But I knew that The Rock was big, but I'd never watched him, wrestling or anything like that. You're the wrestling expert, so
yeah,
I can't go too deep into it.
Here's a question from Chris. What did you think about the fight of the night? I think this is Cheeto and Davey Grant. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't understand the 30-26 scorecard. I had Grant winning the first.
Yeah, that was weird. But you know what? I believe Adelaide Bird was judging.
Yeah, didn't she
night.
give Murata the first round against Jandiroba? So
some weird.
Yeah, just put it down to that, guys. Sadly, we're still in that era where judging is incompetent. When will Fight Circus 3 take place? Asked Chris as well.
I don't know. I heard it was postponed again, right?
Hmm.
But I have no idea, man. You gotta ask John Nutt.
Ask John Nutt. If John's listening, get up in the comments here.
Yeah, John, what's going on?
I'd like to see Silva versus Vitor in boxing. If Vitor looks all right against De La Hoya, yeah, could do that.
I don't know. How old is De La Hoya? Isn't he like 50?
Yeah, let's check that.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyways, the boxing, like,
48.
I'm not watching boxing, but I love to see the MMA guys go over there and box. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's a martial art, man. Like, you support the guys doing mixed martial arts, but you don't support them doing any other martial arts. That's kind of funny to me. Like, a UFC fighter goes and does a grappling tournament, you support them, but you don't want to support them when they're doing boxing. That makes no sense to me. Like, like if they go and do kickboxing, like, you support them, but when they box, you're like, this is ridiculous. It doesn't matter who they're boxing. You know what I mean? As long as it's a professional fight, and they're getting challenged and they're getting paid to do it. That's their purpose in life, is to fight and get paid. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a purpose in life, but that's what they're doing, right? That's what they want to do. They're prize fighters. So it's weird to me, man. Some of these fans, what they're saying about that, these fighters going over to box. Like, there's so many boxers out there that there's too many boxers out there that would never step into the MMA cage. Never. Pretty much 99% of boxers wouldn't do it.
100%.
Yeah, because even if you get like a low tier, like a UFC fighter fighting one of the best boxers in the world, I would put my money on the low tier UFC fighter to beat them in an MMA fight.
Okay, why don't we move on to this? We had another topic we wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Strickland, you flagged this to me earlier. I hadn't even seen this until you mentioned it. Sean Strickland and Orlando Sanchez during training had some kind of altercation.
I sent you the link. in
Yeah,
the private chat. You could probably put that up there.
I found it here. I'm just gonna share it. Is it the same thing I found here?
The one from Jiu-Jitsu Times is pretty good. Like it
Is
kind
that
of
it?
goes into it. Well, that's the video, yeah. But there's an
Okay.
article that kind of explains like Orlando's side and stuff like that.
All right, I'll bring that up. But here's the video. So what is going on? He's trying some kind of
Yeah, he's trying to some kind of like, I think he went for like the underhook and then he grabbed it and he was going for some kind of like submission, standing submission, like arm lock submission. And then I believe Sean Strickland was offended by it, that saying that he's trying to hurt him. But
well, Sean's got a fight coming up, hasn't he? So
yeah,
he's probably not best pleased. I forgot to share the audio, so I'll just put that on. That's probably.
How the fuck is it dirty? You talk all that shit telling I don't belong here, and then you fucking get.
It doesn't have the actual incident, so I'm gonna try and find that. Apologies. You carry on.
But the thing is, like, he did it, and then he did a spinning back fist and try to punt, like, knock him out. Which to me it was like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, I can understand like the dude you're offended by like his actions and everything, but I don't know. Did Sean Strickland want to start a fight with him? Like,
Strickland is
confusing. So if you go on like
a violent man, isn't he?
So like this article that I was reading on it, right? It said that, he's not part of Strickland's UFC camp, right? And you see, he did a back fist, right? And then he did a teep to the stomach, right?
How the fuck is it dirty? You talk all that shit telling I don't belong here, and then you fucking get mad because I did a quick little submission. First of all, fuck with you. You tried to hurt me. Oh, come on.
You see, look at that.
Why, bro? What? Whoa. Why? Get away from me, bro. Get away. Bro, what the fuck, man?
But the thing is, like, they're like sparring, right?
Yeah.
And in sparring, you're supposed to try to submit the guy because they're doing the grappling session. Like, it's not like he got him into like an arm lock. And Strickland was tapping and he didn't let go of the submission. It's like he grabbed the submission and then the dude did a spinning back fist on him. Like, how are you mixing these things up? Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it's very confusing. Were they MMA sparring or were they grappling?
Well, let's see the article you sent me. I imagine it was one of those things where they probably patched it up, but maybe they didn't. Does this article shed light on whether they made up?
Yeah, because Orlando, he did a
okay, Orlando sets the record straight on Sean Strickland dispute. Damn, there's a lot of text here. Is there a quote I can take?
Yeah, so let me read through it. It says,
okay.
In a recent interview with Flow Grappling, Orlando dispelled some of the rumors that arose from the entire situation. Contrary to popular belief, he was not part of Strickland's UFC camp. He had never known who Sean was and certainly did not know that he was in the UFC. Strickland was allegedly talking a lot of trash about jiu-jitsu and challenging Orlando, saying he could dominate him. Orlando decided to grapple with him, and the video takes over from there. So I guess Sean Strickland was talking trash, saying jiu-jitsu, it ain't shit, and he challenged Orlando. Orlando, one of the best grapplers in the world, especially at his weight, and so they started to grapple, and this is what happened. And then if you read further, it says Jiu-Jitsu Times reached out to several sources after this video, including Orlando. For all intents and purposes, Strickland was acting out of line and had not shown any courtesy to training partners, which he was not only defeated but verbally belittling. Two anonymous independent sources state that Strickland allegedly drove twice a week between California and Las Vegas due to a shortage of training partners willing to train with him, as he has been ousted from several academies in both locales due to his disrespectful behavior. In essence, he has gained a reputation amongst many of the grappling community to have consistent behavior, as he has demonstrated in the video. So there's a couple things there. Number one, he's driving between California and Las Vegas because he doesn't have training partners, because he's been ousted from many academies. And from what I've heard in the past, this is all true. From what I've heard from people,
I mean,
that he has been kicked out of gyms.
To add into that, I remember during his last fight, I think Michael Bisping on commentary said that he travels around a lot, but it's because he has like a Ronin mentality. But this makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go
ahead.
And
I heard, like, this is just me from hearing from stuff, on the grapevine, is that this is true, that, he has been, ousted from academies or gyms or whatever because of certain behavior. Like, he's not the easiest guy to get along with. This is what I've heard.
Syndicate?
Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows when he'll get ousted from there? But he has been a syndicate for a while, right?
And, Sasha trains with him. Sasha Plankova used to, and says that guy.
Does he still train with him? That's the question.
I don't know, but he did say, like, just training with Sean Strickland will really get you ready for a fight, because that dude beats the shit out of you. But not in a bad way. Sasha wasn't trashing him. He was very complimentary, actually, and he really likes the guy. I know they're friends, so I guess there's two sides to every story.
Definitely.
Maybe we don't know what Sean's side of it is, so.
He did. He posted a video on Instagram. Let's go to that one and play that one.
Okay.
Because that's actually to me, it's a funny video, but it reveals a lot about his personality. Okay. It does.
Let's see.
But he's speaking a lot of truth too in it.
Is this
it's on
the
his
one?
Instagram?
Is it the new post?
Yeah, it's a new post where he's sitting in his car.
Share audio. Here we go. So
let's hear this one.
Get that audio there.
I reposted it because I thought it was fucking funny. Orlando, he's a good guy. He probably didn't mean to hurt me. The bottom line was I wasn't expecting someone to do that to grappling. And maybe that was my fuck up. Maybe I should have expected him to do that. I take responsibility on that. But to you guys, like, on my reaction, listen, you guys running your fucking mouth. If you were to see me in person, and come and say that shit to me, I would smack you in the fucking face. And let's say you're not cool like Orlando. Let's say you're a dick and you get mad and you put your hands up, not like Orlando. I would continue to hit you in the fucking face. I'm a cage fighter. This is what I fucking do. I like to hurt people. Don't be shocked at what I did. Be shocked at yourself. As a matter of fact, if you want to run your fucking mouth not on the internet, you should come up to me, do it in person, and bring your fucking kids. So after I smack you in the mouth, they could watch me smack their fucking coward father, and maybe they could learn a lesson and not be a bitch like you. Stay off the internet. Stop running your fucking mouth. That video.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
He just cut a promo right there, right? Yeah. He's gonna beat up everybody's dad, like in front of their kids, right? But the thing is, like, it somewhat reveals like what kind of personality that Sean Strickland has, right? He's a no nonsense type of guy, right? And to me, it's like kind of weird because Orlando, like, he did the submission, and Sean Strickland was offended by it. He thought it was a cheap shot, and then he back fisted him and then kicked him in the stomach, and then didn't engage. Orlando didn't engage in a fight, but Sean is saying that he respects him for that. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
no, I don't.
A
really
normal response to that would be there would be a brawl inside that cage, right? But I feel like Orlando was more calm. He's more cool-headed, and he played it perfectly, right, to where he didn't start a fight inside that cage, because most likely he knew that Sean was, I don't know, maybe he knew that Sean was in his fight camp or whatever. But Sean's gonna end up getting an assault case or something, man. If some guy comes up to him in the street and says, like, because there's people that would do that, right? There's people that will go out there and like egg you and instigate and like try to push your buttons, right, to get them to hit you. You gotta be a little bit more controlled. But who knows, man? Would I go up to Sean and say something to him about it? If he asked me, yeah. But would I be like trying to be, confrontational with Sean Strickland? Hell no, man. Like, this dude is a straight killer. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Maybe if I had, I don't know, but please, if you're watching this, don't ever go up to a fighter and try to be confrontational with them, because they will beat your brains in if you catch them on the wrong day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What about this from Alex again? We talked about it, I think, briefly, personally. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
Tebow
yeah,
and Rory PFL last week.
yeah. That was a robbery.
That
You
was
know
a
what I mean?
robbery. I think you could
Complete
say.
robbery. I
Yeah,
think if you're gonna judge it in favor of Tebow was moving forward. You know, if you look at the face of Rory, it was more beat up than Tebow's face. But those are the only things that I could see as reasons for Tebow to get a decision. But other than that, Rory had a great game plan. He executed it well, and you know, I guess octagon or cage control or generalship is worth more than, you know, combinations landed or, you know, strikes landed or whatever, or damage done. It's very weird, but you know, I guess it's the MMA gods rewarding him for that, you know, getting robbed on the Khabib fight or something. I don't know.
well, I read a stat. I think this is correct that he's had 9 split decisions in his career, and 7 of them have gone his way. He's
Good for him.
The split man. Yeah.
Good for him, man. Good for him. Tebow, man, he's still owed money by Battlefield, you know, for that one fight in Macau. I feel bad
Really?
for, you know, him losing out on all that money, but
What
you know,
the
maybe
MMA
the gods
that's
rewarding him, you know, on that.
it. Okay, I think we had another topic we wanted to discuss, or did we?
Mm-hmm.
Rizin returns. Rizin 29, am I correct? This weekend.
20. Is it this weekend?
27th of June, I want to say. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Rizin 29.
Yeah, it
June
is.
27th, yeah.
Yeah, June 27th. That is this weekend.
You sent me Rizin 28 as a topic, and I thought you meant this one because it was this
I was
weekend,
like
but,
thinking, like, you know, talk about like a little bit of what happened to Rizin 28. Oh yeah, before we get into Rizin 29, Rizin 28, man, Kleber, he takes out, you know, one of the biggest superstars in Japanese MMA, in Mikuru. What is it? Oh man, Asakura, right? But yeah, he goes in there and submits him, and then Roberto Satoshi goes in there and submits what's his name, Musayev, who many people thought would be, you know, unstoppable, but Roberto Satoshi goes in there and takes his title. Huge upsets, man. Those guys at Bonsai Jiu-Jitsu, they're taking over the game. You know what I mean? I've been watching, you know, especially Kleber for a long time, so it's nothing new. It's not really a surprise, but I think a lot of people need to open their eyes to the level of talent in Japan right now. You know what I mean? It is very high. You know, luckily, or not even luckily, but I wish the borders would open up so they could bring in more guys from Europe and abroad to fight these Japanese guys while they're in their prime, because these guys are real problems. But let's move on. Rizin 29 is this weekend in Osaka. And yeah, the bantamweight tournament continues. We had some great the first 4 fights of the tournament. There were some, you know, crazy finishes, especially Naoki Inoue. He soccer kicks Ishiwatari and just completely just pummels him. You know what I mean? It was a great finish. He's one of the favorites. Asakura Kai goes in there and gets a huge knockout win in the first one in Rizin 28. Now you got the other fights coming up in the tourney. These guys not as well known as like Asakura Kai and Naoki, but some great fights. You know what I mean? You got Kuramoto facing off Yamaniha. Yamaniha, he comes from Bonsai with Kleber and Roberto. So we'll see what he can do against like a top level wrestler in Kuramoto. And then you got Takawazu versus Imanari. Imanari's back. I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing him fight. He has like 80 fights, 70 fights or something like that. And he's like, I don't even know how old he is, but he's still competing and a very interesting character, you know, worldwide known for, madman. And we'll see what happens with that. It's like the young versus the old. And then you got Osuka versus Yamashita, which is Shion. And then we got, what is it? Yuto Hokamura versus Kura Ito, which is maybe lesser known guys internationally, but great fights. Yachi's fighting on the card, and that's about it. It's the tourney, man. The tourney is the big issue on that upcoming card. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a fun night.
Well, I'm a bit less busy this time, So maybe we could do a recap or something on Monday if everything works out.
for sure.
We'll get Drake involved perhaps, but it was a
Yeah.
bit too crazy last time because you had UFC pay-per-view on the same day. My brain was fried by the time Rizin started and we did our recap. So hopefully we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
What
We'll
about
see,
this Bellator card though? This week,
is Bellator's this week?
Tim Johnson versus Moldovsky for the interim
Heavyweight title fight. To be honest with you, like if
One
I had
of the
to,
least interesting main events in Bellator,
yeah,
in my opinion.
it's not going
Says
to
Alex.
be moving any needles anytime
No.
soon. It's
I
just
mean,
kind
yeah,
of a lead up.
I was going through my inbox today, trying to plan my week, and that was basically I saw that and I thought, oh god, that's not a great card, but yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah, it is what it is, But there's a lot of shows. Like you have Bellator, you have PFL on Friday, and then you got Rizin on Sunday, and then you got UFC on Sunday. This is all our time, so if you guys are confused, it's because we're talking about when it happens here in Asia. So yeah, it's a full weekend, but not everybody can watch every show. Let's just be realistic. Like the last, like on Sunday, right? I watched Sting's fight, and then I got in the car and I was like, I'm going to go fishing today. Today's a nice day. There's a new spot. It's about an hour away. I haven't been there, so I'm going to go fishing. So on my drive, right when I got there, the zombie fight was starting, right? So, I missed a few fights. I woke up late because the card started at like, 6 a.m.? 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something like that here?
Too early. I missed a lot of
way too early. So I missed a few fights early on. And then I got a couple fights in, and then I went, on my drive to go fishing. Caught the biggest fish of the season so far. So I was happy about that. But other than that, man, yeah, it's it's hard to catch up on every single thing. But I'll try to watch as much as I can. I'll probably watch the PFL, but it's at the same time as my live chat, which is kind of conflicting. But what can you do?
Well, yeah, PFL. Anthony Pettis is back, and Kayla Harrison. That is correct, Alex. I'm going to be watching that. I've been loving these PFL shows. I love the presentation. For me, PFL has leapfrogged Bellator in terms of what I want to watch more out of those two. Bellator, just presentation, the whole thing just is so. It's something old and antiquated about it, or it's just not. Doesn't get me hyped the way. Yeah, but PFL are doing a fantastic job, I think. So I'll be watching. I think we're going to interview Anthony Pettis this week as well. Between us, it might have to be me. So you're busy, right? You got your podcast with James.
I got another prior engagements, but we do have other interviews from this week's card for PFL. We have Jenna Fabian, who is probably the only woman that we know of, that's on the international stage from City Kickboxing. She's been all over, Thailand, the States training, but she fights for the PFL. She's fighting this weekend. We have an interview with Caitlin Young, who is a veteran of the sport, who's been fighting for so long. She's fighting this weekend too. And then we got Pettis. Do we got anybody else that we did for this upcoming PFL card, or is that it?
It'd be you. I haven't done any.
See, the thing is, like, I'll be doing like interviews, but then I work for like multiple outlets. Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, did I do it for this outlet and did I do it for this outlet? So so we have Jenna Fabian, Caitlin Young interviews for this upcoming week. And and then we'll have the Anthony Pettis. So I hope that's decent. Go check those out.
Yeah, I'll be speaking to Angela Lee tomorrow as well. First interview I've done with her since she gave birth, and she'll be interesting to get her thoughts on all the shenanigans with the Grand Prix. But I'm just trying to see maybe if we can get her on the live show, because I'm planning on doing another live show tomorrow around this time. So if the times link up well, maybe we'll get Angela on live. That'd be fun for 15 minutes or so. But yeah, what are you looking forward to most this week, John? Rizin, UFC, PFL, Bellator. UFC is Gan versus Volkov, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what else is on that card. I might look now.
To be honest with you, I don't have like one particular event that I'm looking forward to the most, because they're all kind of like, they have their little gems inside every, like Rizin has their Bantamweight Grand Prix, and so we get to figure out who's going to move on to the next stage, right? And then you got this weekend's UFC card, which to me has some like interesting matchups. But if I look at the UFC card, the one that I'm looking, most forward to, I'm actually looking forward to seeing like on that card. Actually, the OSP versus Tanner Boser fight. That's to me, that's interesting fight. And then the Andre Fili versus Daniel Pineda fight is interesting.
What am I doing? I put up Google. I should be bringing up Fanatics. Sorry, I'm getting that.
Dalby versus Tim Means is good. It's a good fight. Morcano, Herbert. There's some good matchups. Nothing like with name value, you know what I mean? But I think also that main event with Gon and Volkov, right? I feel like if Gon can go in there and finish Volkov, that'll leapfrog him into that title contention.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel. But if he goes in there and does what he did against Rosenstrike, yeah, I don't think that really is going to help Gon in any way.
But who's Dana hate more, John Jones or Gon? It's going to come down to that.
Oh, he hates John Jones more, most likely, right?
You think he would reluctantly give Gon a title shot just to piss off John Jones? I do.
I don't think Gon's going to get a title shot after this fight. I think
if he knocks him out
in line. If he knocks him out, but there's still Derek Lewis, and
Lewis
then there's
next,
still
right?
Stipe.
And then Stipe Jones.
Gon at best, if he knocks out or finishes Volkov, he'll be third in line at best, right? At best, but most likely fourth in line, because you got John Jones there too. So,
but yeah, this card looks pretty good. I like it.
If the weather's good, this is a card. If the weather's good on Sunday morning, I'm gonna be watching it on my phone while I'm fishing. Yeah, in the river, right? Just like in the mountain somewhere. Just, you know what I mean? Like it's just so peaceful out there. Like I go alone, so I'm just with myself alone with my thoughts, and just like not even really thinking about nothing. You know what I mean? Just like my brain is free. I enjoy it so much, man. I'm glad I got back into it. Like I'm watching like videos on getting better. Oh, dude, I got extra poles and everything, man. Whoever comes, they're gonna go fishing if they want to. It's very simple, man.
If UFC puts on a show in Korea again, definitely.
Yeah, you're gonna come and stay at my house, so you don't have to pay for a hotel, and then we're gonna go do some stuff, man. Stay a couple extra days.
For sure. I think someone was asking about some predictions for the OSP fight, but I think we'll do a prediction show on Thursday. Myself and Chris. I think that's
go check them out. They're the prediction masters. Like me, I'm not prediction nobody. I don't predict. Well, but I do predict stuff, but you shouldn't listen to me. Yeah.
Well, basically, I'm planning to. I really want to step things up. Have these regularly every day at the same time in the week, like Monday through Friday. We have John's shows on the Fridays, so preview shows will be Thursdays, and I'm gonna try and do things like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if we can. Monday's difficult because it's my day off, but don't mind jumping on for an hour. But the camera is flashing a red light at me, which I think means it might die soon, the battery. That's right, I don't have a power cable for it. So I'll see if we can make it through another 5 or 10 minutes if you want, John.
All right. Well, I guess we got one more thing left, right? The Bibiano and John Lineker
SCMP MMA fishing trip. That's it.
For sure.
We'll get there. Bibiano, John. So those two have been going at it on social media. I haven't seen any updates in the last couple of days, but
okay. So brief me on like who started it.
Okay, so from what I understand, I think Bibiano's deleted his post as well now. But
on his Facebook,
his Instagram. So
he
John
still has
his
Facebook. He still has his Facebook.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it started when Lineker. I'll bring it up on screen. He put this message out on his Instagram saying, "Hey, Bibiano, you're a great champion, a legend, and I respect you, but you can't hold onto the belt forever. Let me challenge you, and may the best man win." And then, well, Bibiano just that was fairly respectful, I thought. But Bibiano hit back. I'll share this one now. Sorry, I'm not the most technically adept. So Bibiano really just lit the Tinder fuse or whatever you call it on this. Lit the fuse, yeah. Hey, Lineker, I give you a chance to contest the first title of your career in years. No need to cry on social media. Just call one and the president. I'll wait for you anytime. I'm old-fashioned, and if you need it, we'll close the doors in Brazil or Canada. You're not used to contending the title, and that's why you want to create hype in a rivalry that never existed. Oh, hope you can beat the weight since you were fired by UFC due to a lack of professionalism. And look, you must pass USADA soon. So, John Lineker then responded one more time, saying he passed a bunch of tests already of USADA. I think that was the gist. Let me translate this one. Put it in English, please. Roughly in English. Mr. Bibiano, I understand your despair for the countless attempts and absurd numbers of dollars that he asked to accept a fight with me. Wait, I've lost myself. Which I had and was with respect to ask him to accept the fight through social media. After all, fighters fight. You can't spend your life cooking the title. I think that means holding on to the title. Just the auto translation I've done here, so it's not 100% verbatim, but hopefully it gives the gist. Remembering it's not the first title of my career. Of course, he was a jungle fight champion, I think. I didn't use any rivalry either. It was you who despaired of attacking me. We're old-fashioned, so no more postponing, right? Let's do our job. Unlike you, I've been through USADA several times. Don't worry, I await the contract. I'm here to fight. And I don't think Bibiano has responded to that one, as far as I know. Yes, nothing new from Bibi. That's not it. So, John, what do you make of that? For me, I thought a little bit, it seemed like, because, you know, we had the drama with Bibiano when I spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
Are they trying to maybe engineer something here and get a fight? Is this, you know, they're both Brazilian. Maybe they had a little back channel speaking to each other through the DMs. And maybe they said, let's get this going. Let's create a little bit of drama on social media.
Are you saying that this is not organic?
I am saying that, yes.
Okay. So maybe it is, maybe it's not. We don't know for sure. But the thing is, Bibiano, you know, you interviewed him. We heard the frustration from him, right? We heard that the passion of him wanting to return. But at the same time, underneath all of that, Bibiano wants to return on his terms and get compensated, right, for that. And, you know, even Lineker had referred to that, saying that he outpriced himself, basically, right? And most likely what he's saying is maybe they offered him the fight and he just didn't sign it because he didn't get the numbers that he wanted. And you know, I'm all for Bibiano getting what he's worth, right? And maybe that's the situation. You know, Bibiano, man, he wants to get in there. Maybe he's creating some of this controversy. And one championship, they're not getting in between of this, right? They're kind of promoting it. Didn't they share this on their official, like, social media?
I'm not sure. Let's have a look. But
They didn't.
I definitely know one championship have pivoted away from, you know, stopping fighters having any trash talk.
Yeah,
within
like
the last year, they've encouraged it a little bit.
You don't have to. You don't even really have to encourage it. It's just like, just let them do it. You know what I mean? It's them trying to bring some hype into their fights. So why not let them do it? But I think that's the fight to make if you're gonna make any fight for Bibiano's return, right? Like, there's no other person, there's no other contender worthy enough to face Bibiano. And, you know, I think it's John Lineker. Why shy away from it? Let's get this fight put together. And I think it's a dangerous fight for Bibiano, but Bibiano's so smart I mean, we've seen what he can do, and against power punchers, against anybody. And but the one thing is that John Lineker holds that magic pill, which is in
Mm.
which is in his fist. So we'll see. I like it. I
Well,
like them going back and forth. It's good.
I can't see it anywhere on One's official channel,
Okay.
and I know that Bibby deleted his thing off Instagram, so maybe insinuating, Lineker can't pass USADA might have been a step too far.
I don't know. Because if that's the situation, is that what he's inferring? Then that means one championship doesn't have any kind of drug testing, right? Because if he did it,
yeah, I'm not sure what he meant by that, because One doesn't use USADA. He might have been talking about WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, and maybe BB's given away something about One is trying to bring in WADA again, because One talked about working with WADA a couple of years ago, and then it turned out to not be true. But we know that Rich Franklin has traveled to the US recently, and I think he told Fansided he was having talks about moving the Empower card, the Atomweight Grand Prix, to the US. And I took that with a pinch of salt, because One's always talking about doing a show in the US and never actually do it. But maybe as a step forward, for that eventuality, they're going to be partnering with WADA, because I think that's what's going to hold them back in the US is drug testing. And, if you want to put it on, you've got to get a commission, right? Unless it's on.
But then it's not even, if they do an Atomweight Grand Prix in the US, it won't even be an Atomweight Grand Prix, because there won't be atomweights, right? Because when they weigh in, an atomweight weighs in at 105 pounds. But those women will not weigh in at 105 pounds. So that's very confusing. Like, how are they going to even do that, right? But
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to go to the States. It's the earliest I think that they do a show outside of Singapore is like 2022.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to happen this year. These vaccines have to go around and spread, and people need to go out and get vaccinated if they want to. You know what I mean? I'm saying like you have to. But it helps if you want to travel, right? So
there goes my camera.
You gotta change it to your webcam or your camera on your phone, or not your phone. On your there you go.
Whoa,
that's much better. You look like you and Ariel are like best friends.
Yeah, maybe I'll move the camera in front next time.
You should, man. That's probably better. But anyways,
I like the desk element.
The desk element is it looks nicer though. You're right.
I'll have a play around with it. I did just want one final thing.
Mm-hmm.
One Championship yesterday announced the signing of. I want to put this on screen. I wanted to see if you knew who. I can't pronounce. Jian Liang Qiu, China's #1 kickboxer, pound for pound, apparently going to be fighting at bantamweight in the One Super Series. Seems like a pretty big deal, So maybe you can fill me in a little. Do you know more about this guy? All I know is he was studying at Loughborough in England for 2 years.
I don't even know who this guy is. I've never even heard of this guy. Like when they posted this, I was like, "Who is?" I don't even know who this guy is. I didn't even know he was a fighter. Right. The only thing I know is the other guy that got signed.
Yeah, they signed two others: the Warrior Zhang Lipeng and the Prince Banma Duoji.
Yeah, like those guys, like Lipeng. I know him, of course, right? He was on the Ultimate Fighter, and he fought in the UFC a few times, and he's been killing it I think he's on like his last 20 fights is just, he has a ridiculous record. So that's a good signing. Nothing too major, but for real, like when they posted this, because usually when they sign people, they don't really put up posts like this, right? It's like they just sign them, unless they're like, Demetrius Johnson or somebody. But when they posted, I was like, man, are we that ignorant to like what's going on in China to the point like we don't even know who this guy is? Because I don't know, man.
Well, according to the press release, one of China's biggest combat sports superstars, Qiu is a multiple-time kickboxing world champion and ranked #1 at super featherweight, 68 kilograms by Combat Press. Currently riding a 17-fight win streak. Qiu took a 2-year break from competition to pursue a master's degree in sports marketing at Loughborough University in London, England. don't think Loughborough's in London. Let me double check that.
It sounds good.
Yeah. No, it's in Leicestershire. Yeah. I'll tell them they got that wrong. Yeah, he's ready to resume his stellar career alongside the world's best strikers in one super series. Q stated, "I'm very honored to join one, the world's largest martial arts organization. Yada yada. I want to make history as the first ever male one world champion from China."
Well, the thing is, like, whenever they sign, like, especially in kickboxing and Muay Thai, whenever they sign like a major name, they ended up losing, right? Like, you know, they end up getting in there and they end up losing, which is good for the guys that, you know, get a chance to fight these big names. But I don't know how big of a name. Maybe he's going to be, you know, focused on whenever they do events in China. I think that if he is such a big star, that makes complete sense to have him.
I wonder what the Loughborough connection is.
Does he speak English? Oh, he must speak English, right? If he went to school.
Yeah, he might. There might be some connection there.
You better reach out and get an interview with him.
Yeah, because a lot of people do. A lot of sports stars do their degrees at Loughborough because they have excellent training facilities and.
Yeah, just reach out and see if you could
get a sports university in the UK.
Maybe you and him, we could do a podcast, you know, just to introduce him to the world and say, like, okay, let's get to know this guy, you know, let's get to know like his background and I wouldn't mind doing that. That'd be fun.
Okay, I will reach out. I look very orange right now. Drake is right. Don't know what that is, Drake. Well, why don't we wrap that up? We hit 1.5 hours. Yeah, thanks, John. Been a pleasure. And
no doubt.
If you're up for it tomorrow, I'll probably do another one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, I might have to do a couple of interviews most likely, but if I'm not, I'll hop on.
Okay.
Actually, I do have I'm interviewing Angela Lee tomorrow.
How are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like you.
All right, maybe we won't do it live then.
But
if you would interview it twice.
But anyways, everybody go check out the Fanatics. You know, I do a podcast for them every Wednesday, which is every Wednesday. Yeah, every Wednesday I do a podcast with them, so check them out. And then, of course, the live chat on Friday mornings or Thursday evenings in the Western world. Check that out every week. And I haven't got any guests lined up this week, but next week I have Jordy Sullivan, the fight dietitian who was at UFC 264. He does the diet for Israel Adesanya, Brad Riddell, and, you know, one of his newer clients, Leon Edwards. So I just, you know, have him come on and pick his brain. And alongside him, who else I'm going to have? George Hickman, you know, one half of the Hickman brothers. And we're going to catch up. And, one of the boys, right? But this week, I don't know who I'm going to have. I'll see. I'm working on that, I guess. But next week, that's the lineup.
I can jump on with you if you want Friday.
For sure, man. I'm working on getting Jeremy Brand from MMA Soccer. He's always good.
Okay.
Good guy to have on. And he just recently interviewed Anderson Silva. So I want to talk to him about that. And you know what Anderson Silva did over the weekend. And also on this channel, we got a couple good interviews, right? We got Gilbert Burns, who's fighting Stephen Thompson at UFC 264, I believe, coming up. The Conor McGregor card. He gets deep into it, man. He talks about the Kamaru Usman loss and his preparations for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He brought in Raymond Daniels, who is the husband of Colby Northcutt, one of the best kickboxers in the world. So we'll see what happens. But check that interview out, and of course Nick's got a couple. I'll let you finish it off, Nick.
I don't know what I think I already got. Yeah, Pettis potentially, and then Angela Lee. So we'll see. Things just tend to fall in my lap, though. I don't always have the week planned out. John has his diary. You know, I've seen it. He screenshotted it for me. There's like 25 fighters in there, all with a specific day and a time. I'm just
this week is pretty light. I've been kind of lax on it because I've been trying to write a little bit more, you know, with some of the other publications. So I've been kind of just focusing on that a little bit more, and I should have something for SCMP soon too. But yeah, even like Drake, he has a couple interviews on the channel here. He's got one with Diana Avsaragova.
Yeah,
right?
he's also
Bellator.
Ayak
And-
Mura, which I'm going to put up today.
and
I think. So
what is it? Marina Rodriguez, top
Yeah.
top contender in that division over there, strawweight in UFC. And then actually got a chance to speak with Movsar Evloev. And he called out, Yair Rodriguez. He probably won't get the fight, but one thing that was interesting from the interview, he gives an update on Zabit because he was with Zabit for a couple of days. So he talks about what Zabit's going to be doing next and when we could hear some news from him. So go check that interview out. But anyways, let's close the doors, man.
Yeah, all right. It's been a pleasure, John. And thanks everyone in the comments for commenting, asking questions, getting involved. We will hopefully be back tomorrow around about the same time, 11 a.m. Hong Kong time. So make of that what you will, wherever you are in the world. I will put it up on YouTube though, so you can get ready. It's going to be big. It always is, John, isn't it? Okay. All right. Peace. We'll see you